Hello guys, Tammy here. Welcome to the class. Today I'm breaking down how I create these loose character sketches that you can clean up into a finished concept. I think sketching is a skill that you need regardless of the type of art you make. It's the one thing that you can use as reps to become a highly skilled artist. You should be doing a lot of sketching without worrying about how beautiful your sketches are, especially as a beginner. Good drawings come with time and reps. Now, the whole point of sketching to me is to capture the idea fast before details slow you down. I think sketching teaches you to have a holistic perspective on designing. I use this method exclusively for fast idea generation for my character concepts. First, you need to understand this. Sketching is not really random, it just looks random. Every messy line you see from an experienced artist is actually searching for something very specific: gesture, proportion, and structure. You can call these lines searching lines. And this is not to say sketching can't be random, because there are times I go into a drawing without knowing what I'm going to design or what I'm going to draw, and I just end up stumbling on a really good design. So I divided my sketching process into three parts, and the first part is gesture. I know you must have heard a lot of teachers and artists on YouTube preach about gesture, but that's because it's really important. It's a very important tool you need to have in your toolkit as an artist. So gesture drawing is basically asking yourself, what is this character doing? What kind of movements are they doing with their body? Or what expression are they making? If your gesture is weak, everything else will feel stiff, no matter how much detail you put into it later. And also make sure you are very light handed at this stage, because you will build on top of this stage with more visible lines later. Gesture drawing should be something you actually practice daily if you can, because it's a skill that should come very natural to you, especially as a character designer. You don't want to have to worry about gesture drawing, getting gesture drawing right, worry about designing and all that. But all these will become easier for you as you practice them more. So after gesture drawing, the second step is shape design. Now, this is the part where I start building structure on top of that energy I got by gesture drawing. You still don't think about anatomy so much at this stage. You're thinking about shapes and designing shapes. You're thinking about circles, you're thinking about boxes, you're thinking about cylinders. But this is the important shift. You're not placing shapes randomly all over the gesture, you're designing them with intent. I constantly evaluate at this stage. Is this shape sharp or is it soft? Is it heavy or light? Is it exaggerated or simple? Does it support the gesture or does it fight it? This is where character personality starts showing up even in rough sketches. A bulky character feels different from a thin one even before details exist. That comes from shape language, and this is a very important tool in your toolkit as well as an artist. This is where your style begins to form. One way I practice shape design is by using a lot of reference. Especially as a beginner, you need to use a lot of reference. A good way to practice this is to look at references that are cool to you and draw your own versions of it. So when you use reference, you can focus on building confidence with actually putting down lines as a beginner. And with time, you will need these references less and less until you are confident drawing from your imagination. So the third and final step for my sketching process is the structure pass. This is the part where I start turning these shapes into something that could actually exist in space. I'm still very loose at this point, but it becomes more intentional. I begin to connect and design these forms logically. I begin to suggest perspective and the camera angle. I begin to clarify overlaps and depth. And at this point, I'm thinking, if this was a 3D model, how would it exist in space? At this step, you can actually begin to zoom in and design a little bit more. This is the stage where you make the design of something like, let's say, a shoulder armor plate you presented in the previous step with a simple shape. This is where you make something like that more believable. This is where you actually design it. I often redraw a lot at this stage because I really have to make those forms look believable and look like something that exists. So don't hesitate at any point to erase and redraw parts of your design. Don't be too scared of messing it up or start getting too precious with your drawings. It's still very valuable mileage for you as an artist. And I would actually argue that redrawing a lot makes you better at making design decisions. So it's perfectly fine to rely on reference at this stage and redraw a lot if you have to. It takes a while to build up the kind of visual library professional artists have to do this from imagination. So make sure you use a lot of reference. Finally, I'll be telling you about some common mistakes artists make when they sketch. Because if your sketches feel off, it's probably not because you can't draw, it's usually one of these things. And the first mistake is refining your drawing too early. This is a very big one. A lot of artists jump in and immediately start trying to make their drawings look very clean before the idea is even solid. And what happens? You end up polishing something that was already wrong from the start. So you're basically decorating a broken drawing or a broken foundation. The fix is simple. Stay loose longer than you think you should. Let the sketch breathe, take your time to build it up, and don't be scared of it being messy because you can always clean the drawing up. The second mistake is thinking in outlines instead of forms. Outlines feel safe because they look like drawing, but they flatten everything. So if you are sketching, you need to make sure you are drawing through the forms. You need to make sure you are drawing these forms in space and making them relate with other forms the right way instead of just trying to like draw the outline and get it right at the first time. All these forms are in relation with each other, so you have to make sure you are drawing these forms in relation to each other. Always think in volume, always think in boxes, always think in spheres, cylinders. Even if your lines are messy, your thinking shouldn't be. The third and final mistake I'll be talking about is treating all your lines the same. This is why a lot of sketches feel dead. When every line has the same weight, same confidence, and same energy, nothing stands out. The eye gets confused because everything is shouting at the viewer to focus on it. But when you use different line weight for different parts of the character, you can learn to lead the viewer's eye where you want it to go. So the fix to this is control your line energy. Some lines should be very light, some lines should be very confident and final, while some lines should barely exist at all. You can call those construction lines. So the fix to this is to just vary your pressure, your speed, and your confidence. Think of it like rhythm in music. Not everything should hit the same way. Some notes are high, some notes are mid, and some notes are very low. So it applies the same in art. Make sure you practice line weights and focal points. Learn how to use line weight to make your focal points stand out to the viewer. So, zooming out, this whole process isn't really about making pretty or beautiful sketches. It's about learning how to think on the canvas. When you understand gesture, shape design, and structure, Your sketches stop being random and you actually begin to get some good results. So don't rush to the cleanup part. Don't fight the messy part. Learn to stay in control when things are looking rough and don't be scared to erase and redraw. And that's it for today's class. I'll see you in the next one. Make sure you draw something today. Peace!